Welcome to One Quick Question with Infomedia, your source for answers to your questions about websites, digital marketing, and more. I'm your host, Carrie Rollwagon, and today we are here with Michael Stuckey. Welcome, Stuckey.
Hey, Carrie Rollwagon.
Tell the people what you do here.
I'm a web developer for Infomedia. I've been here almost 10 years, and I build a lot of websites and take care of a lot of websites. And yeah,
True. You
a lot
did
of
a
fun.
good job.
Thanks.
First question. Are you going to lose your job because AI is going to make it irrelevant?
I really hope not.
Yeah, that's our question, though.
Am I getting fired right now?
My website? Yeah, it depends.
Okay.
It depends on where we go with the conversation.
Depends on how this interview
No. Spoiler alert. You're keeping your job.
Okay.
But that is a question that I think is worrying a lot of web developers, is worrying a lot of writers, a lot of artists. But let's kind of narrow it down to, let's make this about you. Can AI build my website?
The short answer is no. Not right now.
Sweet.
Not today.
Well, thank you for listening. Check back tomorrow.
This has been One Quick Question.
Yeah, exactly. No, but for real, why are people worried about that? Why are web developer people worried about it?
It's probably this, and it's Chat GPT on the scene.
Yeah.
These new programs that can talk to you can seem to write things as a human might.
Mm-hmm. It's just like one that's really popular.
Yeah. It's probably the most advanced of any AI bot that's out there.
Yeah. So slightly better than the Facebook bot that will tell you, like, this coffee shop is open later than you think, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I obviously don't chat with Facebook.
Slightly better. Yeah.
Cool. Well, but it can write code, correct?
It can write code. It is versed in coding languages of a lot of them, most of them, or maybe all of them.
Yeah,
I'd say, and it's just familiar with them. It's, first of all, it is built on code. That's one thing. So that's very meta in a way, but
it's its native language,
right?
Let me knit you together. So it seems like the Chat GPT in particular is really good at kind of applying one syntax to, like, I have this and I want it to be in this, like, okay, so I'm a writer. I took like a website bio and said, write this in the style of the King James Version.
Yeah.
It did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty funny.
Sure.
You know, it's a good little party trick. But can I say, hey, Chat GPT, I want you to write code for a form on my WordPress site in JavaScript?
It will do like specific tasks, but like building your websites are complex things. I mean, there's all kinds of things, and if you want it to be a good website, a pretty website, you're gonna have a human design it first of all, and then somebody's gonna have the brain to put those pieces together. But you can ask it coding questions, or I have one issue, or this code broke. There's an error here, but I can't figure out what's going on, and it will usually can help you find the answer. So that's pretty cool. But no, it's not able to just spit out the whole website
yet.
No,
but say it doesn't do that yet, but it can do pieces of code. Can it do? It can do that, correct? So if I'm like, I know how to use code, and I need a piece of code in this specific script for this specific thing, it can do that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like some of our devs have played around with that, and sometimes it does that, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it still gets it wrong, and sometimes it just does it, and then they realize their code was more elegant, but they see, like, oh, I see what was wrong with mine. Mine's still better, but this jogged my memory or something.
Yeah, I think that's the use case for it. Yeah, honestly, it's use it as a tool, make yourself better, make your own work better, but give yourself a starting point. if if you got writer's block for,
Yeah.
in code, so it's like, I don't know I don't know how to get from point A to B. You can ask it questions and be specific. And,
Hmm.
um, honestly, we say this all the time in the dev community. We are really good at asking Google questions
Hmm.
is one
Yeah.
way to put it.
Yeah.
We're able to find answers on how and problem solve by that. So using a bot like ChatGPT is
It's like an advanced part of that.
exactly.
But I think, tell me if this is correct and it applies, because I do think I'm a writer. Some of the same questions you could ask, the same exact questions about, like, is AI making writing obsolete as making writing code obsolete? They are similar, Um, I don't know where I was going with that. Uh, if I were a machine, I would be a little more on task. But I think that it's more, you have to know how to do it in the first place. Like, I think, I'll take this analogy. Like, I have used ChatGPT for, like, creating outlines, kind of finding holes in my argument. Like, I'll come up with some ideas and then ask it, what are your ideas on this topic? And I can think, like, okay, 2 of these are really terrible. 2 of them I already have, and then there's one that, oh yeah, I forgot to add that. Like, so it's like finding holes in my argument. But so far it seems like most of those, I have to be a good writer in the first place to even use it, to know what to ask, how to edit it, and how to fact check it. It's actually those skills I had to learn to be a writer. Those skills actually still apply.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it's the same for a developer.
So that's exactly how I feel about it. It's only giving you parts of answers, or it's leading you in the right direction possibly, but there's error to that,
Mhm.
and it seems to be 10% ish in
Yeah.
what it returns, and you have to cajole it into the right direction to
Yeah.
you can correct it first of all and say, actually, this is the question I asked you is actually incorrect, or
Yeah.
your answer is incorrect. Here's actually what I'm looking for. And it's like, oh, okay. So it starts to, but if you were a novice writer or web developer, or any
Right.
job that might require the use of this stuff, you're not going to know better that it's giving you incorrect information.
Yeah.
And
You have to troubleshoot, and if you don't know how to do it in the
Right.
first place, how do you troubleshoot?
right. It's just like, you got to know how the world works and how your job functions so that you can
Yeah.
manipulate.
Well, and one thing I think one of our devs was talking to him, and he was like, is this going to replace my job? And I was like, we have over 600 clients who come to us to service their websites. That's a lot of what Infomedia does. And most of, like, a lot of the things they send in would be things we actually consider very easy, that you don't have to be a web developer to do. And yet all of those customers and clients think either they still don't know how to do it, or they don't want to do it. So it's kind of like, I think that's the wrong question. Like, yeah, the idea that I carry a roll wagon, work at Infomedia, and I wouldn't know the first thing to ask ChatGPT if I was going to try to get it to code a site for me or fix a problem,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't even know. Okay, I probably would know this, but looking at it, like, is it JavaScript? Is it PHP? Is it whatever? Like, what if I use the wrong code? What would happen? Like, I guess that's a question. If you just used code and plugged it in, if it worked, quote unquote, like it shows on the front of the site the way you want it to show, is there any chance, is that just mean it's right, or is there a chance there's still a problem with that code?
There's a chance that it could still be a problem, and that could be that it just conflicts with code that's already written, maybe, or you might get lucky and it's perfect. But code evolves. I mean, they publish new versions of languages all the time, and so what is written by, say, ChatGPT might not be relevant in a year, or work with things that you've got. And I think our clients too, the want to talk to a real person, just like
Yeah. Like
like
we
you
have
do
a
when you
phone
call.
number that a lot of
Yeah,
people use.
exactly.
And it's,
And a real person answers it
yeah.
and says hello
Yeah.
and asks how you're doing.
Yeah.
And
And it's not, yeah, it's not
yeah,
and I think there's value in that. And that's what
absolutely.
I think it'll be less like maybe like some really basic things we begin by using AI. But I think it takes an experienced web developer to be able to say, is this actually still good? And another thing that this was something that was really revolutionary to me in understanding web development before, even after I'd worked at Infomedia for years on the content side, I still felt like I thought it was like you build a blog the same way. Like the blog for this site is the same as this site, or you add a form and it's the same thing. I had no idea that it's actually quite different. And like the way one dev is going to develop your site is like you're solving the problem. You're solving the problem. You're not following just like one set of instructions for every
Sure,
single thing.
exactly.
And that you're going to solve it slightly differently than Russell's going to solve it or Brad's going to solve it or any of our other devs are going to solve it. And as far as Infomedia, we've all agreed, like, here are the things we're going to do the same. So
Right.
this is solid. But still, even within that, there's a ton of variability. There's a ton of creativity.
Hmm.
And I say that because so many sites we support are built in these creative ways. Many of them, like more like a house of cards.
Yeah.
And when you take like one perspective and one way of building, you can't just plug in one piece of code. It's not going to work the same way on every website.
That's exactly right. I mean, we use car analogies here all the time when we're talking about like supporting websites, and it's like car maintenance. You can't just take an engine out of a Honda and put it into a Ford truck. It's not.
Yeah.
The parts do not align with the other pieces.
Yeah.
The websites are the same. Like there's thousands of ways to do something.
Yeah.
And none of them are the right way. There are plenty of wrong
Yeah.
ways, but like there's just different ways to get to an answer.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like being math class in elementary school and teachers like, this is the method that you want to use and show your work. And it's like, well, but I got to it the other way.
Yeah.
And they get angry.
Is that why you married a geometry
Yeah, I'm just
teacher?
shout out to my wife.
But in geometry, it is more like your proof is, as long as you show the proof of how you got there,
right?
It's correct. So,
Exactly.
I feel like that's off track, but
No, sorry, that's my fault.
No, but I think that's what when people think like, oh, I'm just going to be able to like write a site or even fix a problem with this. It's not at all saying that would never work. Sometimes it will work. Like if you're like, I need a code for a button, give me code for a button in JavaScript or whatever.
Yeah.
You might be able to do it, but a lot of times you won't. And especially if somebody else built your website and they took the specific path to get there, it may fight with other things.
Definitely that. And it's good for the small things, creating the button, like you just said, or, but websites are just, they're complex and there's a lot of things going on. And
I guess that's a good point too. It depends on how simple your site is. If it's extremely simple, it's built in an extremely cookie cutter way, it may be that you can just do this and it might work. The more complex your site is, the more creative the code is on the back end, possibly the less likely you're going to be able to just
definitely
use this.
And that's just like talking from the code perspective. I mean, we haven't even talked about the way it looks. I mean, that's not what this conversation is, but gosh, if you want your site to be unique, like have humans direct that. So.
I think that was a tagline we toyed with for a little bit for Infomedia. It was like, want humans to use your website, use humans to build it.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, Dougie. You're still employed.
Oh my gosh.
You did well.
Thank you. Phew.
But next time on One Quick Question, we will have a robot on to answer our question. I'm just kidding. I did actually generate some questions for this using ChatGPT, but I didn't use them. So.
Yeah, that's fun though. It's Thank you.
All right, thanks. One Quick Question is brought to you by Infomedia. Find show notes, including links to what we talk about on the podcast today at infomedia.com/quickquestion. Our producer is Elena Harmond. Our theme music is by Brad Davis, and our episodes are produced by Paul and Aaron at Infomedia Studios. If you need website support, marketing advice, or you're interested in building a new website, give us a call at 205-823-4440 or email quickquestion@infomedia.com.